Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Monsters Den. It's favorites of 2023 time. We're going to talk about some of our favorite brand new releases of the year, genre films, and maybe a few releases or a few films we had never seen before, or reissues that came out, repackaging, new 4Ks, all that sort of thing. We've got in the house. Mr. Dan Brown is here. Chris Allo is here. Craig Kaminski's here. Jamie Laszlo's here. And from Scotland, we got Davy Gallagher. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey, good to see you
Hi,
all. It's been a
fellas.
while.
It's
Been
been
a
a
bit.
while,
Been a
right?
bit.
How
Been a
was your
minute, as the
Christmas?
kids say.
Yeah.
3 days later, we're still dressed like.
I've been wearing this shirt for weeks.
Yeah.
All right, let's run through our three favorite films of the year. Again, you've probably heard us talk about all these movies before, so we're not going to spend a lot of time discussing them, but we did want to give you our favorite picks of the year. So, Jamie, why don't you go first and let us know your three favorite new films? Again, whether you saw them in the theater, maybe they were on Shudder, or maybe they were streaming on Hulu or Apple TV, wherever the hell we saw them. Brand new films from 2023. What do you got, Jamie?
Well, I like a lot that we mentioned this year on the Monsters Den: Godzilla, Evil Dead Rises, Smile, Infinity Pool, Dungeons and Dragons, The Honor Among Thieves, Talk to Me, Megan. Like it all. So I'm going to mention three that I really like that we haven't talked boo about. Just saw this on Netflix. It's like a apocalyptic movie, end of the world kind of movie. It's more of a drama, but it does have a little bit of sci-fi and end of the world, a lot of end of the world going on. And that is Leave the World Behind with Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke. And I always say this guy's name wrong. Mahershala Ali. Is that his name? Is that how you say it?
I think you had it right, yeah.
Yeah. I think the acting is really good. They sell
Heard
me
good things about this. Yeah.
the whole way through. I'm squirming, man. I read a lot of things. People were bored. I fell asleep. I was squirming. The tension is always up between the actors. People don't like the ending. You like bleak endings? It gives you a bleak ending. A lot of people don't understand it. I don't know what there's not to not understand. It doesn't end good. Thought that was good. Follow the House of Usher, which is a miniseries that was on Netflix. Mike Flanagan always does his thing every Halloween where he does his 8 or 9 episode miniseries. I thought this one was really good. It was better than last year's. I didn't even finish. What was it called? The Midnight Club or something like
Midnight Mass, was it?
No, Midnight Mass was 2 years ago with the
Yeah.
priest that was a vampire. I think it was Midnight Club last year with the kids in the
home.
That's right.
Yeah, they're going through detox or something. I didn't finish it, but this one was really good. Every episode is based on like Edgar Allan Poe, kinda, and a different person died every time, kind of in the manner of that Edgar Allan Poe story. The monologues, a lot of the monologues are really good. Bruce Greenwood does a monologue of what you do when someone gives you lemons and is not making lemonade. He goes on this long thing and the camera goes real up close to him. It's beautiful. Did you see it, Davey? You're shaking your head.
I'm just thinking Captain Pike doing that monologue was pretty great.
Yeah, it's great. And then this one I saw in the theater and I really liked it. A lot of people want to dig on this. A lot of people don't even want to see it. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I had a lot of fun with. I went to the theater opening day. I wasn't expecting, Raiders. I wasn't expecting The Last Crusade. I just wanted to have a fun romp adventure one last time with Indy, and that's what I got. People want to rip on Phoebe Waller-Bridge and her character. Her character is supposed to be unlikable. She's supposed to be a bit of a bitch, and that's what she is, and she pulls it off. Unlike Kate Capshaw, where I think she was supposed to be funny and likable, maybe, and she comes off as annoying. It's not that at all. The ending. The ending goes off the rails a little bit. It's a little crazy, but all these movies end crazy at the end. This one, they go back in time and they could have went to anywhere. Where they went is interesting. But I enjoyed it. So I will say what I said in another episode, a previous episode or a future episode. I don't know what the order of these are going to be. I did buy Oppenheimer. I swore myself off of Christopher Nolan, but I got sucked into the hype, especially when the 4K became unavailable in most places. Now it's everywhere. I bought Oppenheimer and I couldn't finish it. There's 40 minutes left to this movie that I've never seen and will never see because now I'm done with Christopher Nolan. I hate the way he tells stories. I hate his scores. He has an eye for the camera, and that's about it. Someone needs to do his editing and his storytelling for him, if you ask me. But what do I know? Because he has that whole cult out there that loves him. And I bought this movie because it was $9.99 and I was gonna rent it for $6.99. And like Black Friday, $9.99, I'll pay $3 extra and put it on the shelf. Watched it with my mom and the wife a few days ago. It's a fucking mess. I thought I was going to like it. This was written, it seems like it was written by someone who doesn't understand fantasy, doesn't know how fantasy works, for people who don't understand fantasy and doesn't know how fantasy works. They just think because it's fantasy, anything goes, anything works. No, there are rules within the world of fantasy. Just because it's fantasy doesn't mean you can do anything. So it's a fucking mess. Barbie. And it's not because of the message either. The message has nothing to do with why I think it's a mess.
I don't know the rules of the Barbie universe very well, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Neither do they.
Barbie was probably the greatest marketing tool they've ever used.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is a character. This doll transcends 3 or 4 generations. So grandmothers and granddaughters can
Right.
see the film and enjoy it. Matter of fact, a friend of mine, his daughter and his wife, they go to Barbie parties, and there's all women from all ages because they can relate to Barbie. So the money they made is just basically, you think about something having a shelf life for a certain generation. This is something that has a shelf life that went 60 years or 70. So boom, that marketing tool, yes. I haven't seen it, have no use. I may have Twilight, but Jamie, you have Barbie. So that's good.
There you
Two
go.
biggest movies of the year, and I hate them both. That doesn't happen that often.
I will say though, Dan, a lot more guys
Right,
saw
they were both
Barbie
out at
than
the
you'd
same
expect.
time, right?
No,
That
I know.
was a
I know,
big
it's
film.
awesome. Well,
That
They
was
were
a
calling it
massive
it's a different
film.
world.
Barbenheimer or something.
Yeah, Barbenheimer, yeah.
Yeah. Jamie,
Well,
how about your 3 favorite like reissues or films you hadn't seen before? You had any like box sets that came out or 4Ks that you?
Yes, but I didn't know we were going to talk about that, so they're all in the other room. And the Exorcist box set, that big Exorcist box set from the UK. Here's the thing: I bought it, I pre-ordered it from the UK, $99, right? I got it. I'm in. They shipped it. It got lost in the mail.
Oh no way.
So fucking pissed. I'm like, my God, for the rest of my life, I'm not going to think of when I think of The Exorcist, I'm not going to think of the first time I watched it with my dog and scared, as a 14, 13-year-old. I'm not going to think about the billion times I introduced people to the movie. I'm going to think about that fucking 4K box set that got lost in the mail for the rest of my life. So I had to go spend $200 on it on eBay to break that spell out of my mind. So now the money's gone. I got my $100 back from Amazon, and I just added another 100 and got it, and now it's over and on the shelf.
It's going for around 400 or 500 now. So
Now,
Really?
so
You're in the
when I
money.
saw 2, I pulled the trigger before it kept going up.
yeah,
Wow.
I heard it's a great set though.
Yes, it is.
the transfer is not great.
Really?
I like it.
Warner's transfers have been really bad this year. Enter the Dragon's another letdown compared to what Arrow did with the Bruce Lee franchise. But yeah,
Wow.
It's a shame.
I thought it sounded great. I think it looks decent enough.
the sound's phenomenal, but
Yeah, the sound is phenomenal, which makes
just
up for
the image is too
the need.
soft.
Dan, how about you? Your 3 favorites from the year.
Oh, 3 favorites from the year. Okay, I'll show you some examples. Well, number 1, I will have to mention Evil Dead Rise. That's not one of the I mentioned. We mentioned that in the past. Great reapproach to it. Characters you gave a shit about if they died. Nice, refreshing look. Fresh coat of paint on an old storyline. But anyhow, going to the stuff that's more pertinent. For starters, is number 1 is called The Voyage of the Demeter, or The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is the ship that Dracula's body was transported from Transylvania to England with. And the interesting about it plays a major part in the book. It's a section of the book about it, but they've never really touched upon it. What really happened on that ship, other than Dwight Fry from the basement and Dracula showing up. This takes on a whole different approach. I wasn't crazy about the ending and setting up a particular character, but I like the approach of taking this part of the Dracula mythos and making a film about it, because it's a journey on a boat. And it, takes on kind of a nautical story. And the vampire in the story is not your typical guy in a tuxedo and a top hat sitting on a ship in the middle of the ocean. He is like a Nosferatu type. He's like a vampire bat. And he's creepy and he's strong and is very much being hunted down like on the film Alien. So it was an interesting, refreshing look, and I enjoyed it immensely. The second one is actually something we've talked about earlier, and never did a show about it, but it's called The Sadness, which is a Taiwanese, not exactly a zombie film. It's about some people that are going homicidally crazy. Done by an American animator. I can't remember the name of the director. It's done in Taiwan. It's one of Taiwan's first horror films. And they touch upon not necessarily the zombie genre. It's more like 28 Days Later. I never really considered the 28 Days Later people zombies. They're just people with rabies, or they're crazies. The Sadness is pretty much, I'm impressed with Sadness because it's very much along the lines, if anyone knows about a British horror writer by the name of James Herbert, who was a contemporary of Stephen King. In fact, they were very good friends. It came out at the same time. James Herbert had written a number of great horror novels, one in particular, The Fog, not to be replaced or mistaken with John Carpenter's The Fog. The Fog by James Herbert is about, in this case, a gas that escapes from an underground facility. There's a rare off-the-wall earthquake in England, and this gas is released. It creates a fog, and everybody who goes through the fog turns into a homicidal sexual maniac, and they just go off the deep end, as does the main actor in The Sadness, who is this middle-aged or older businessman that you see him creeping people out, and then all of a sudden he just goes apeshit, goes over the top. I just thought it was original. It was fun. Once again, near the end, it loses it, but something worthwhile to check out too. It is available on Blu-ray out there. And the
He
last,
bangs a girl in the eye socket, doesn't he? In that
yes, he just literally quote skull fucks her, as they say.
movie? Yes.
And
As the kids at school say.
As your mama says.
as they say in Motel 6. But anyhow, that being said, it's really original. It's well done. And if you do ever see The Sadness, check out the works of James Herbert. Very few of his books have been made into films. Some of his books are quite stellar compared to any writer. And actually, Stephen King and I said, we're good friends. And they would compare notes to each other. The last one, of course, now this is not a very authorized release, but yes, this is the best horror film of the year. And that's When Evil Lurks, we just talked about. And that, I think, is the best horror film that's been done in a number of years. Kept me guessing. Like I said, didn't know we talked about it in the review episode recently, but that's about it. I think that is the best horror film that's been done in years. As far as stuff that's reissues I've seen in that, the only thing I could say with a reissue, it's not really a reissue, but it's a reissue because it's an older film. I didn't bring the box down with me, and that is a box set out of England. I think is it Indicator, Davey? The Todd Slaughter box set.
Yeah.
Todd Slaughter was the equivalent of Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff in England. He was known more as a Victorian drawing room horror actor, who in fact played Sweeney Todd on stage over 2,000 times. And his signature role was Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, which was made in 1935. And he had a 5-year period of time where he made some, they may not be your standard universal horror movies, but they have a certain thing. He became the master of the macabre in England. In fact, on the box set, aside from beautiful restorations of these films that have been badly mishandled by a lot of public domain companies in the United States and tattered prints, he does have a reputation. Check him out online. Some of these films, I don't expect you to go out and buy it, but it is a piece of horror history. And there's one film in this box set, which I find is worthwhile the whole time. It's a promotional film made in England, visiting Todd Slaughter at his house. And I think he ends up trying to murder the guy that's interviewing him. And it's like a house of horrors. They touch upon all the horror roles he's played. It's campy. It's like a short film. But other than that, that's the only thing is the reissues I've seen firsthand. Bingo.
All right, Chris.
My top three, number 3, I would go with Totally Killer. This was a little movie that is on, I think it did play in theaters, but also was streaming on Amazon at the same time. I really like this. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed this movie. It's kind of like Back to the Future meets an 80s slasher or a Giallo. You know, this girl, this teenage girl, her mom gets killed, so she goes back in time using her friend's time machine. All right, that part's kind of silly. To solve the mystery of who killed her mom and trying to prevent it from happening. And it really works both as a horror movie and as a comedy. Like, I actually like laughed out loud by myself in my home theater like several times. So I really got a kick out of that. Number two, Thanksgiving. I saw this in an opening night in a packed theater, and holy shit, the high school kids went fucking nuts over this movie, and I really liked it. You know, I don't like any of the Eli Roth movies. I think the best thing he ever did was the 2.5 minute trailer for Thanksgiving in the Grindhouse in 2007. And all these years later, he did a full length movie, and it's quite different than the trailer. There's a few things that are still in it, but man, I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, number one, we talked about it previously, Godzilla -1. You know, there was a lot of other movies this year I liked, like Megan and Evil Dead Rise and a bunch of others, but man, Godzilla -1 was the one that really grabbed me. I went in with low expectations and just enjoyed it. As far as the discs, there was really, I think, only 2 discs that I watched this year that I enjoyed that I hadn't seen before. One was a 1982 film called Fighting Back. It's with Tom Skerritt and all-star cast, Yaphet Kotto, Patti LuPone, tons of other famous faces, directed by Louis Teague. I think this was probably right after he did Alligator. And man, this movie's a fucking hoot. You know, I expected just a complete knockoff of Death Wish or Vigilante, where Tom Skerritt's you know, family gets killed and he has to fight back. But it's really more along the lines of, I guess, sort of the Guardian Angels sort of thing in New York City, but on 10, because Tom Skerritt is really the antagonist who really like starts picking fights with people in the streets of Philadelphia. And I really liked it. I was shocked at how much fun this movie was. I would highly recommend it. And the other one was one that Craig had mentioned a while back. I've had the Blu-ray on my shelf for several years. I also have several copies of it on DVD. Never watched it. So Craig came up and we pulled it off the shelf, and holy shit, I really enjoyed 1979's Malibu High. I mean, this movie is fucking insane. I mean, and it starts out as a TNA movie and then becomes like a Hitman movie. I mean, it's completely bonkers. Classic 70s downer ending. Lots of TNA, although it's the same girl over and over again, but then there is some other girl that does show some skin. Sort of like a riff on well, shit, what's the one I like in the high school? The High School Massacre movie. What the fuck's that called?
Massacre at Central High.
Massacre at Central High. Although, like, it's similarities. So yeah, I really got a kick out of it. I was like, holy shit, Craig. I was like, this is so good. I'm not only going to go back and watch it a second time. Like, the Vinegar Syndrome disc is loaded with extras. I'm like, I got to watch all the extras. I got to learn about this movie. It is fucking bonkers. So if I was still doing Hudson Horror, I'd need to track down a print of this, because this movie is nuts. So that's a recommendation for Malibu High.
And it's out of print now too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, they deleted it
I still have it.
because it's shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know Davey didn't like it for some reason, but man, I liked it. I really did.
Fantastic.
Put the stuff on the thumb drive I give you. You'll understand why I like these things.
Yeah.
All right, Craig, your 3 favorites of the year.
All right, my number 3, I also went with Thanksgiving. I saw that in a near empty theater, but really, really enjoyed it. A lot of fun, just fun, and it's a total Scooby-Doo mystery. You know, who is bumping off the people in the town, and you think it's this guy, no, you think it's that guy, no, and just a real fun watch from beginning to end. And there is a really funny Black Sabbath reference
Yes, good point.
in the movie. So if you whenever you see it on pay-per-view, Blu-ray, whatever, you'll if you know your Black Sabbath, you will really get a laugh out of this one particular scene. My number two is When Evil Lurks, talked about recently, last week, earlier, or next week, or whenever it
Last year, maybe.
Wherever we are in the
whenever it happened.
A couple of
But
years
I will-
ago,
but-
before a few of us died.
But I really liked it.
We are in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I really liked it for all the
However,
all the
Kang
reasons-
decides to distribute these
Yeah.
videos,
for all
right?
the reasons that I said or may have said before. So that was my number two, and my number one was The Marvels. I really enjoyed the Brie Larson performance of it, and I was it was a lot of action. I'm just fucking with you guys.
Bullshit.
No.
I think you must be the only person that saw it with that.
I think
box.
I'm the only person that's
Yeah.
seen it.
I didn't.
My number one was Godzilla -1, and from what we had said before, and seeing it in 4DX. If anyone out there, if you have a chance to see it in 4DX, please do so. It really and it's not distracting. It enhances what you're seeing on the screen, and you'll have a great time with it. My three older movies, there's lots and lots of older movies that I've never seen before, but this year. But number three, I went with Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Valerie Leone. Never saw
Best
the
side
movie.
boob ever.
Yeah, really had a lot of fun with that. I like that a lot. It's got a little bit of gore in it, even with the hands getting chopped off, and just a fun movie. I really quite enjoyed that. My number two, I went with 1975's The Devil's Reign. Never saw that before. Just a batshit crazy kind of movie with Ernest Borgnine and Ida Lupino, William Shatner, Tom Skerritt. What a good cast. Everybody melts at the end. And, John Travolta melting into green goo in that, with just some awesome stuff going on with that. And it was a lot of fun. I've heard so many things about the movie before, but never actually sat down to watch it, but quite enjoyed that and watched that on Tubi. My number one, earlier this year, I was visiting Chris, and he had asked me, hey, what do you want to watch? And for all those for those of you who wouldn't know this, it's a daunting task. If you see what's behind Pete, and it's like, what do you want to watch? It's like, oh gosh, there's a lot of things to choose from. I could take an hour trying to figure out what it is we want to watch. So I was quick thinking and thought, oh yeah, you had mentioned this movie on a prior episode that I never watched before, so that you just got it on 4K. So let's watch that. My number one is The Incredible Melting Man. Never saw it before, and it was, what was really good was watching it with a friend. We laughed at all, at some of the parts, and as Chris had said when he mentioned it before, he's just stumbling around and dripping, for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And just oozing and dripping. We laughed at all the parts of people crashing through glass, and we both were howling with laughter at the end of the movie, where he just completely falls apart, and the janitor just says, "What the fuck?"
The credits are
and
the best
just
bit of the movie.
sweeps him up and sticks him in the trash can, and there's your ender of a movie. But yeah, my number one for movies I had not seen before for this year, The Incredible Melting Man.
Nice.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, Davey.
That's not a good one. That's talk about
Oh,
movies.
come on,
Talk about
Dave.
movies that have only got 40 minutes of content. That movie's got about 20 minutes of content. Jeez Louise.
Ooey and gooey.
So I've already done a video on my channel of my favorite Blu-rays of the year. I'll be doing one on my favorite box sets. So I'm not going to go into too much depth. If people want more information, they can go on for some of these. Lola a great low budget film that came out this year. Couple of sisters invent this machine that they call Lola. It's in the 1930s, and they name it after their mother, Lola. It's a machine that allows them to pick up radio waves, and radio waves can travel, according to Einsteinian physics, backwards in time as well as forwards in time. So they start to pick up transmissions from the future. When they turn this system on in 1940, the first thing they see is David Bowie doing Space Oddity on the BBC. It's the first thing you see, first 5 minutes of the movie. So what a great kind of opener that is to a film, this 1930s film, and then you see David Bowie 5 minutes in. And then it turns into a war, an alternate war thing. It's done as a found footage film, and normally those would be two triggers for me: found footage and also alternate World War II things. But they find a way to do it also originally. It is brilliant. This is phenomenal stuff for anyone who likes kind of time travel stuff, consequences, butterfly effect, bootstrap paradoxes. This is time travel 101 stuff. Lola, it's phenomenal. This is a great film. Talking of great films, my favorite movie the whole year, never mind kind of genre, is Enys Men. Although it looks like it's Enys Men, it's Old Cornish. It means Stone Island. This is a folk horror, which is one of those films that if you said the plot, it would say, well, that's not even a 2-minute film, but it's more about the dread and the atmosphere. And believe me, we recently or next month or last year in 5 years did an episode on When Evil Lurks. But that film wasn't very plot heavy. It was more kind of following along the consequences of what did happen. This is even less than what happens in that film. It's essentially a film that's following one person and their psyche as things unravel around them. It's again shot on old film stock as if it was a found thing from the 70s, but it's intense, stomach churning, and I'm pretty sure 95% of people in the comments would think it was the most boring thing they've ever seen in their life. But the 5% that love it will think it's the best thing of the year. It's one of those kind of films. And then number one for me, it probably wouldn't be my number one, but I thought this would be a nice cheeky way to cut the episode a bit short and be able to mention it as a teaser for something that we might be doing that's coming up next year. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio on 4K, which Criterion have just released. So if you like Guillermo del Toro, 2024 might have something for you in the Monsters Den. But yeah, this is something that I'm not going to go into any depth on whatsoever, apart from mentioning that it's obviously great. Otherwise, I wouldn't have mentioned it. But yeah, it's a great version of a well-worn story and a wonderful addition from Criterion. And you'll get to hear a lot more Del Toro talk in the new year at some point. In terms of reissues, Dan's already mentioned Todd Slaughter, so I won't go into that again. That's not for everyone, but if you do like even well before Hammer, it's 20 years before that, kind of end of the pier, music hall sense of humor kind of stuff. But the reissue of Targets that came out this year, which, if you guys saw it, I've disappeared there. Did you see that? Time travel for a few seconds.
You're fading.
So yeah, Target's phenomenal film, brilliant edition from the BFI, and Criterion released a version in the US as well, so everyone can watch it.
That's the one I just got. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's happy. Invaders from Mars was a great reissue this year on 4K. What an edition. This is one of those ones where if this was released like some things are, where it just gives you the special features and it's a kind of homage rather than we're showing you the film, or like Living with Chucky this year came out, and it's a disc about Chucky, but it's not got any of the Chucky films in it. If this came out as a standalone disc and didn't even have the film on it, it would still be worth a while because there's so many extras on it. It is loaded. It is absolutely stacked, and it's from Ignite Films. It's not Criterion. It's not Arrow. It's not Shout or Scream. It's just stunning, and it's a wonderful restoration of a film that doesn't get talked about as much as it should in terms of the great 50s Red Scare horror films, sci-fi films that then were remade in the 80s. It doesn't really crop up in the conversation like Body Snatchers and The Thing and whatnot. But yeah, what a great reissue. And in terms of box sets, one that will be on my video next week. What a bloody time I have with almost everything in this. The Peter Cushing collection that Severin have just released, the Cushing Curiosities, which has got Tender Dracula and Bloodsuckers, two films that haven't been seen in good quality at all. And you get to see Peter Cushing as a vampire for a change, which he didn't do for Hammer, he didn't do for Amicus. So it's Peter Cushing doing something very different. There's even some softcore stuff in here, which he did very little of. He did Corruption and a couple of things, but he didn't do much. You get his BBC Sherlock Holmes series, and then you get a couple of British films from the early 60s, The Man Who Finally Died, Suspect, and Cone of Silence, and a wonderful book from Jonathan Rigby about Cushing's whole career. This is just, if you like Peter Cushing, this is essential stuff. It's not even up for debate. This is just absolute essential stuff from Severin. So before that gets deleted, they released a couple of Christopher Lee box sets called the Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee. They were very hit and miss in terms of the contents, but the Cushing is all winners in different ways, totally different ways, but it's all winners.
Yeah, I may have to
Yep, a
check.
couple of reissues of the year.
Cool. I'm gonna check that one out. All right, my favorite genre films of 2023. I'm gonna go number 3 with When Evil Lurks, which I thought was really well done. It was either that or Talk to Me. Kind of, I was playing with the both of them. I think
Another
I
good
enjoyed
one.
Evil Lurks a little bit more. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Evil Dead Rise. A lot of fun. I thought it was a really good entry in that series. And number 1 is Godzilla -1. Terrific film. Just absolutely love it. So there was no way that wasn't going to be my number 1.
For
as
the
far-
record, that is my number 1.
Yeah, if that was out on disc and we hadn't done an episode on it, it probably would have been
Yeah.
on mine as well. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, so I don't.
Oh, you need to. You need
That's
to.
2 weeks later, Dan.
On
2
it.
weeks later.
And as far as like reissues and new sets and things like that, I got to give some props to a few here. The 4K of My Bloody Valentine looks spectacular. So good. Tons of extras on that as well. The 4K of Prey, latest in the Predator series, also really well done. I just got this recently. This is just wonderful. Criterion's The Others.
I just got that.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Such a great film, too. Also want to give props to Invaders from Mars, which is terrific. This might be my favorite out of all of them. Arrow's Blood and Black Lace from Mario Bava. This is
Nice.
jam
as well. Yeah.
with stuff. Yeah.
The box
So
set
good.
version.
So good. I had a load of fun with this last week. This is the new 4K of the remake of The Blob. So much fun. And then last but not least, I got to include this. Got to have some Universal classic horror monsters here as well. So, yeah.
I will say the 4K of It Came from Outer Space that was released this year is really nice and cool.
Yes.
It has some postcards with it and stuff.
Yeah, you are correct. That is also very good. There's a lot of good 4K releases this year. So it was a really good year for all that kind of
One
stuff.
more I just received in the mail today. I haven't watched yet from Vinegar Syndrome, and that is Prophecy trilogy.
Oh,
Oh, I saw
Christopher
that. Yeah.
Walken. Yeah.
4K, I mean, beautiful box, opens up, tons of extras, and they mastered it from all the original negatives.
I didn't really like the Prophecy films in the 90s, to be honest. But
I rewatched a few of them recently. They're pretty good. They're better than I
Mhm.
remember.
And Christopher Walken is just a hoot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I just got this. I'll probably be talking about that at some other show I've been watching lately. Very excited.
I thought that was the Man Bear Pig one. Prophecy.
That's also Prophecy.
That's a different.
Yeah. So there you have it, everybody. We're wrapping up 2023 and on to 2024. So thanks for watching. And
I thought we were into 2024 by now. No,
yeah,
26 right
we
now.
may be by the time it gets posted.
might be probably not. I think
Might
this
could be.
we'll have this will be airing before before New Year's Eve. So yeah.
okay.
So,
Oh, fuck, I'm sick, my son.
Let me get
Oh, Happy New Year.
Good call. Yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah,
what
a nice
do we
Christmas.
do for you
Happy
guys?
2025.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. There we go.
We've not recorded 3 episodes back to back, folks, honestly.
That's right. Yeah, we didn't spend 5 hours doing videos for you guys tonight.
Oh, God.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy New Year to all of you. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. all
Far too
the
often.
time. List your favorite picks from 2023 down in the comments below, and we'll see you in 2024 here from the Monsters Den. For Dan, Chris, Craig, Jamie, and Davey, I am Pete. Happy New Year, everybody. From
Happy New Year.
See you next time.
Night.
Bye-bye.